Hey there, it's Ginger Bratzel with you, and it's my pleasure to do Facebook Live today on mastering the staff issues. And I'll tell you what that title came from in just a second. But we do these Facebook Lives because they're a little more, I'm using a little bit too much. Uh, they're a little more informal, and it's like us being in the same room. So we put out weekly content and trainings to people on our list who have signed up for that information. They're looking for business building and practice building type of ideas, and they're looking for marketing and their management and inspiration. And so this topic came about that I wanted to do it live because it's kind of a conversation. And when I do these, I really like to have those conversations. So it's nothing that is scripted as far as reading off a teleprompter. This is just like you and me talking. I will look around the room because I think when I'm doing these, because it's just like having a real conversation with you as close as we can. And doing that. So I'm not staring it down the barrel and looking at you the whole time like a newscaster and not blinking. This is this is fluid and live. And so in this process of talking about why this topic came around about mastering staffing issues, this was a result of a survey. So, we plan out our content, we plan out our training. I'm getting a feel from what my clients are going through, but I wanted to ask a bigger crowd outside, people on our list, people on our social media, who maybe I've not had a personal interaction with, that we're not already currently working on something with you. What are you up against? And I things have changed. We all recognize that. We're in a different economy. The world's a little different. I will tell you, I don't take that as an excuse, because I will not let whoever's the president or what the dang price of groceries or gas is tell me how to live my life or what I'm going to do. I am not going to lay down like a meek little lamb and say, "Whoo, I'll just wait it out till something else happens and somebody comes around and saves me," because that's bullshit. I don't play that way, and I don't want you acting that way either and making it happen. So I asked what's your number one challenge going forward right now? And I can tell you, I pretty much know what the answer is going to be for all these. We've done this for years. I've worked with a lot of practices. And so I could sit down and give you the top 10. Now, what happens depending on the timing of the year or what the economy is doing, there's some fluidity in what's the number one this year versus the number one last year. And when I got the results back, I knew this was going to be an answer, but it's never been this high of an answer. And when I say that, I say 70% of the respondents put this as their number one thing, the biggest challenge in their practice. And they said it was staff issues. So that's why we got the title, Mastering Your Staff Issues. And, first of all, if you've been around me for any amount of time, I'm a marketer, and I pay close attention to what people are doing and saying, because that's how you connect. Marketing is really psychology, and I'm looking at how people respond. Now look how patients respond and say, "Hey, you're doing a great thing in your office, but nobody understands it. This is what we need to do because this is what they're looking for, and this is what they're listening for." And so when I'm looking at the languaging and what your office is and what what people responded back to, thank you for the people who responded. Virtual high five to you, high 10 for putting it out there. It's they were saying staff issues. They did not say team issues, and I don't even think the word employee came up anywhere. It was staff issues. And so we always refer to the people who support you in your mission of dentistry as team. And when I have staff, that means there is no team. That's a disconnect, and people don't even realize that they're saying it. So I'm like, this is a problem. This is a huge problem. You're telling me it's a problem, but it's even bigger problem because we're all thinking of them as something separate. So I call that a Danger Will Robinson. And if you don't know Danger Will Robinson, that quote, you can Google it later. That's what the internet's for and where that reference comes from. But I will say that the office, Danger Will Robinson. We've got a bigger problem going on. So historically, post-COVID, and even though it's 2.5 plus years since COVID, the economy has changed. Without a doubt, businesses have changed, businesses have folded, business models have changed. There's been some real victors that have appeared in all this. As far as dentistry, the victors in this is DSOs. DSOs grew 15% post-COVID. That's the biggest shift in the number of DSOs. A lot of our clients, most of our clients are solo dentists or privately held practices. And so they've always looked at a DSO as the big guy. So I'm not talking Aspen necessarily or Heartland that grew there. There was little DSOs that popped up, like 3 practices, 5, 10, 15, 20 plus practices. They were more regionally located. And so now there's all these other DSO models where dentistry's gotten a lot more business-like. Now, there's pros and cons of that. Some people said, I want to do this because this issue of staff and marketing and dealing with patients, I just want to do dentistry. That appealed to them. But they gave away autonomy and a lot of control in that process to go to it. Private practice, it was not the only direction for someone getting out of school to go into dentistry. There's other avenues more than ever for them to go into. So it's really, really changed. Like I said, bigger than any other time and making it. So we're at this tipping point. And so, is the staff coming from that kind of mentality kind of thing? So we look at that going through versus a team or they're supporting a individual practice. I look at that. But regardless what we're calling them, which I'm going to call them team, you need them. You cannot grow without delegation and leverage of others. You are trading dollars for hours. You can only work so hard and so fast until you max out. You need either it's another doctor as part of that team, more hygienists, other assistants to helping you. So this is really critical in making it happen. Now, Jeff Bezos is not packing your Amazon boxes. He's using other people to do that. And so when I got a lot of responses back, I don't want to deal with staff. That's the wrong mentality. They're the bad guys. No, they are part of this. And if you take that negative energy in there, it's going to derail your efforts. And so, that's one of our issues of going through. My story, when I bought my practice, my first practice, I bought it before I got out of dental school, left the existing dentist there to take care of things. He had a staff, I'm going to call them that. He had a staff, they're great staff. They've been, some of them 30 years, 20 years with him. That's not a good sign. These were 30 and 20-year-old 20 and 30-year employees that weren't supporting the practice. They were death by work. They were going to stay there until the day they died. And this doctor wasn't going to get rid of them. He wasn't going to cause anything. I love my story. I get jokes every time I tell about it, where in the schedule when I got there, they had booked off from 2 to 4 every afternoon to go to Sonic for happy hour, which is a fast food restaurant. That's just freaking ridiculous, people. And that is the staff. And so, going in there, I bought a practice that was based on a certain model. You're attracting patients. They're used to seeing the same people because he was going to be leaving. I'm coming in. When you buy a practice, you don't want to overhaul everything at once and turn it around. If I'm buying a Pizza Hut store, I don't go in there and say, hey, we're not doing pizza anymore. That's not my philosophy. My core, I'm more about tacos. You stay with the model. So that's the first thing. And going through it, and I had a huge problem. I had a staff problem going through. And so, making that happen and making that transformation, it set me back because I didn't anticipate that. And I was on outdated thinking. And with every shift, that was me buying a practice. Now we're at COVID. We're in a different economy. People are stuck. That's the other phrase I heard a lot. Patients are stuck. Team members are stuck. People are not moving. We've got to get through that. So, working with a team, there's a lot of aspects to it, but it doesn't have to be difficult. I look at it like parenting. They are going to look at mom and dad and see what behaviors, no matter what you tell them that you want out of them. They're going to look and see what you're doing. And if you're mentally checked out or someone's a senior employee, an existing employee, they're not doing it. And even though you brought this new person in specifically, we're going to change stuff starting here with Susie, who just got hired. It's not going to happen. Or, if life is getting to them and is derailing them and is affecting the office, or they're bringing baggage from home in with them, and it's not necessarily, I'm talking about adverse things going on, but they're thinking about the cost of gas and how my groceries went up. All those things, they're going to affect how they talk about treatment plans with them, or patients, should I do that crown? that the doctor told me about. Or you're sitting there looking at, I don't know if I want to really tell them. These are all subconscious thoughts that are derailing you. And so we want to walk the walk and talk the talk. And if they don't see that consistency through that, and the team sees it all the way up to the upper management, I've got practices that we've talked to recently. They're not clients yet. We're going to get them on in there, where they're 1 in 4 employees stay. This is a mini DSO with 3 practices. One doctor owns all 3 practices and has multiple associate doctors, and he floats between those 3 practices. The hygienist, the long-term hygienist, who's been there over 10 years, says that they don't want to learn anybody's name because they can't, because the turnover's so fast. So they have an unofficial rule that they have to stay there for a month before they'll start really learning people's names. They're not rude to them. They're not mean to them, but the details of really diving in and getting to know somebody emotionally cannot invest in that. It's like dating 1,000 people at once. It is just exhausting, and being able to handle the dentistry and do what they need to do and keep their head above water. It's just a churn and burn kind of thing. And that's not what this practice attends to, but they are so all over the place right now. They need simplification and clarification to make that process go through and do that. So, these newer employees are looking at the older employees. A newer employee or an older employee in this type of practice, other than the hygienist, maybe have only been there 9 months. So they don't know the culture. They haven't had that time. They're still learning themselves. And somebody comes in there and they're weak, and they're learning from somebody who's just barely, past puberty on the maturity of the practice, and it's not going to get the traction they need. So again, the simplicity is finding the right people, retaining the right people, training the right people. It's about that simplicity. It's about that stability and going through and making it work. So COVID, we're a new, different situation, different economy, stuck kind of mentality. Patients and both team members, they're all stuck and is trying to get through that. So how do we move through this differently? We've got to think about it differently. We got to approach it differently. So what we've done in the past is not going to work forward. Knowing it versus mastering it, and all these things going through. It's not about surviving anymore. It's about this is the business as normal, and so working in that new economy and new environment. When I was growing up, we had a family a pool table that was at my grandparents' house, and all the grandkids, they throw us out in the back patio in the pool room, and we shoot pool. And we were little kids. Thank goodness they let us do it. We were awful. We scraped the felt, or we break the tips all the time, not meaning to. We just didn't know how to take care of things. And somebody would break, and like 3 balls go off, but the cluster was still there. And you're playing around, and at some point somebody's got to come around and re-break the balls just to scatter them and give it that. And so that's kind of where this is. We're all clustered in that middle. There's been that break, but they're still clustered in the middle and kind of, I don't know what to do. Or, what should we be going? And so it's having the right resources, the right tools, the right systems to get you through to the new economy, the new normal. I hate that phrase, the new normal, and making it happen. So again, it's back to, the mission is clarity and simplicity, because if it's not clear, they're not going to follow through. And if it's not simple, it's not going to be maintained. So, I always give you action steps is clarity and simplicity and going through. Because right now, here's what's at stake in your business, not solving this issue and mastering. And if you don't feel like you have staff issues right now, you will, because that's just the nature of the beast we're going on. So, team issues cost you money. In the average practice, it's at least $100,000 in lost revenue a year, at least. And for a lot of practices, it's multiples of that, because that is just derailing you. People who are not working at efficiency, just trying to go through the day, money issues in their heads, not following up on treatment plans, broken systems, and so things are falling through the crack, busy retraining people. All those things add up on there. And if we just talked about the money it takes to find somebody, hire them, and get them minimally trained to come in, Forbes says the average is $4,000 per employee. So back to that one practice I told you, 1 in 4 is sticking around. That's 12 grand, 16 grand for every one that sticks around. And when we say someone sticks around, I'm not even talking 5 years, because we're not been 5 years. We're lucky if they got a year to 18 months out of some of these people. It is just a very vicious cycle, so it's got to be broken. And you can't say it's the economy. Again, we're not laying down and playing that game. We're going to take charge of it. We're not going to give your power over to it. And then, the third thing about this, at times, is team issues and the cost of training. There is no amount that you can put on that's high enough that the drama it brings in, the staff drama, when you have this turn, getting everyone settled and do that. So, what I do with my clients, that is my job. My job is to make your job easier. My mission is to get the systems in place with the clarity and simplicity where you're getting and keeping patients, and where you're getting all the patients you need, and you have the right team to support that mission. That's my job to do it. And that's what I work with you with on your team and getting all that going through. My job is to get the practice refocused, simplify the whole process, and increase your profitability, and getting you going. And as I work, my job is to work myself out as a job as I ramp you up, so to give you stuff to get going. So it's kind of like weight loss. I'm not there to give you a fad diet and drop you there. I'm there to get you on a different way of eating, where you can lose the weight, maintain the weight, and then I can get back, because you're on your own. You've got the foundation. I'm there to hold your hand along the way as long as we need to, but I'm there to make you self-sustainable and not keep you through there. So, that's what, staff is part of that. Staff is part of that deal, and we want that simplicity and clarity in getting through. We want to keep and retain the right people. Most people are quick to hire and very slow to fire. And that's what a lot of practices are in that position, because it's just not the right situation, but people are staying around longer than they should. And so that's what we do. In my practice, we've been there. What I do with my other clients, through the last 20 some odd years of doing this, the practices all over, we keep amping it up no matter what's going on. We don't just lay down. We're not looking for the next shiny object, because that's not the answer. We want that foundation to get you going through, that scaffolding framework to hold you through. So, if you want that simplicity and clarity, reach out to me. That's the next step. You want to talk about what things to be working on, things to concentrate on, tying the practice, the patients and the team together, and making your life easier. That's what we do. So reach out to us at results@gingerbratzel.com and just put in there, need help, in the subject line, and tell us what's going on in your practice. We'll get in contact with you and talk about the next step, and just get you some more information and get you some clarity on that, and so you're ready for this environment, what's going on right now. So that's what we do. We make it happen. So this is Ginger taking care of business. Until next time, we're going to dig deep. We're going to keep helping you and support you on your mission. Can't wait to talk to you. Take care. Bye-bye.